You've got to be kidding me. The words slipped out before I could stop them. The instructor glanced up from his clipboard, one eyebrow raised, while 20 strangers turned to see what I was staring at. Noah Brooks stood across the clearing with a dark backpack over one shoulder, looking unfairly calm for someone who had just ruined my entire weekend. His eyes found mine. Then his mouth curved into that easy smile I had spent almost a year pretending didn't affect me. Good to see you too, Ethan. A few people laughed. Heat climbed up my neck. I adjusted the straps on my pack and tried to look like seeing my biggest crush at a weekend survival course was completely normal. It wasn't. I had known Noah was coming. Technically, his name had appeared on the registration list 2 weeks earlier, and technically, that had nothing to do with why I finally signed up after leaving the page open on my laptop for 3 days. I was here to challenge myself. Get outside. Learn practical skills. That was the story, and I planned to stick to it. Noah stepped closer, boots pressing into the dry dirt. He wore an old green jacket, faded jeans, and the same relaxed expression he carried everywhere, like nothing could really throw him off. I didn't know you were into this stuff. I'm full of surprises. You hate camping. That's not true. He tilted his head. You complained for 40 minutes because a patio had mosquitoes. That patio had aggressive mosquitoes. His laugh came out low and warm. My stomach tightened immediately. Annoying. Completely unnecessary. All right, everyone, the instructor called. Circle up. His name was Rick, a broad guy in his 50s who looked like he could build a cabin with one hand. He explained the course would last 2 days. Navigation. Fire building. First aid. Shelter construction. Everything sounded manageable until he lifted a canvas bag filled with wooden tokens. You'll work with one partner for the entire weekend. Same person for every challenge. You eat together, hike together, and set up camp together. Out here, your partner is the person keeping you alive. Noah glanced at me. I looked away too quickly. Names were drawn one by one. Each new pair stepped aside while I silently calculated the odds of getting anyone except him. A retired teacher. A college kid wearing brand new hiking boots. A woman named Claire who had already corrected Rick twice. Anyone would have been safer. Ethan Miller. My chest tightened. Rick reached into the bag again. Noah Brooks. For half a second, nobody moved. Then Noah walked over, trying and failing to hide a grin. Guess you're stuck with me. Looks that way. My voice sounded normal. That felt like a small miracle. He held out his hand, like we were meeting for the first time. I stared at it, then took it. His grip was warm. Firm. It lasted 1 second longer than it needed to. Or maybe I imagined that. I was probably already overthinking everything. Noah's eyes stayed on mine as he let go. Try not to get us killed. You're the EMT. Exactly. More paperwork for me. I laughed, and something in his expression softened. Just briefly. Then Rick handed us a folded map, a compass, and one rolled bundle of canvas. 1 tent per pair, he announced. My smile disappeared. Noah looked down at the tent, then back at me. Cozy. That was when I realized surviving the woods might not be the dangerous part of this weekend. The first mile was easy enough. Mostly flat ground, wide trail, people talking too loudly because none of us had gotten tired yet. Noah walked beside me with the map folded in one hand, acting like being paired together was the most normal thing in the world. I tried to do the same. You know how to use that? I nodded toward the compass clipped to his pack. He glanced down. Absolutely. That was not convincing. I watched half a video last night. We are going to die. He smiled without looking at me. Relax. I will keep you alive. The words were casual. Probably. Still, my chest tightened in that stupid, immediate way it always did around him. I focused on the trail. 20 minutes later, Rick stopped the group near a steep stretch of rocky ground and told us to tighten our packs before climbing. I reached for my shoulder strap, but Noah stepped behind me. Hold still. I can do it. You have been wearing it wrong since we started. Before I could argue, his fingers caught the loose strap near my shoulder. He pulled it tighter, then adjusted the buckle against my chest. His knuckles brushed the front of my jacket. Just once. Barely anything. My body reacted like he had done something much worse. I stopped breathing. Noah noticed. Of course he did. His hands paused. Too tight. No, my answer came out too fast. It is fine. His eyes stayed on my face for a second longer than necessary. Then he stepped back. Better. I muttered something about him being controlling and started walking before my expression could betray me. He caught up easily. You are welcome, by the way. For nearly choking me. For fixing your pack. I had it handled. You had one strap doing all the work. He reached into the side pocket of his bag and held out an energy bar. Peanut butter. I stared at it. No, what? You know I hate those. Noah looked at the wrapper, then at me. Right. He traded it for the chocolate one without hesitation. That should not have meant anything. We had eaten with the same group enough times. He probably remembered because I complained about peanut butter constantly. That was all. Still, I took the bar carefully, trying not to think about the fact that he remembered. Thanks. See? I am useful. The trail narrowed as we climbed. I moved ahead of him, mostly because it was easier than walking close enough to notice every little thing he did. The ground was damp from rain earlier that morning. My boot hit a slick rock, and suddenly my foot slid sideways. I barely had time to curse before Noah grabbed me. One hand caught my arm. The other landed at my waist and pulled me back against him, hard enough to stop the fall. For a second, neither of us moved. His chest was against my shoulder. His hand stayed firm at my side. My heart started pounding so fast I was sure he could feel it. You good? His voice was lower now, close to my ear. Yeah. I looked down at his hand. He did too. But he still did not let go. The trail around us went strangely quiet, even with the others only a few yards ahead. Then Noah slowly moved his hand away. Watch your step. I forced a laugh. That was the plan. Bad plan. He walked beside me after that, closer than before. When the trail got steeper, he stayed half a step behind, like he was waiting for me to slip again. I told myself it was because he was an emergency medical technician. He watched people. He helped people. He would have done the same for anyone. Then we reached another rocky section, and Noah lightly touched the back of my arm before I stepped up. I have got you. He probably meant the trail. I spent the next 10 minutes trying to believe that. By the time we reached the campsite, my legs were sore, my shirt was sticking to my back, and Noah had already stopped me from falling twice. He looked annoyingly fine. You are enjoying this, I muttered as he dropped our gear beside a flat patch of ground. Watching you fight nature? His mouth pulled into a grin. A little. Rick gave each pair 45 minutes to build a shelter and start a fire. Noah unrolled the tent while I studied the instructions like they had personally offended me. This makes no sense. It is 4 poles. That is exactly what the tent wants you to think. He laughed, then crouched beside me. Our shoulders bumped. Neither of us moved. Give me that corner, he murmured. I passed him the canvas, and our fingers caught for a second. This time, it did not feel accidental. His hand stayed there, warm against mine, while his eyes lifted to my face. Then someone behind us whistled. Wow, you two are already doing the married couple thing. I pulled my hand back so fast I nearly dropped the pole. Mason stood a few feet away, arms crossed, looking amused. He was tall, confident, the kind of guy who had shown up in expensive hiking gear without a single wrinkle. Noah barely reacted. We are arguing over instructions. That part checks out. Mason laughed. Brooks, you got the good partner. Mine almost set his sleeve on fire. Ethan is doing fine. The answer came quickly. Too quickly. My chest tightened. Mason glanced between us, smile sharpening just a little. Yeah, I can see that. He walked off before I could decide whether I wanted to disappear or throw a tent stake at him. I focused on connecting the poles. He is annoying. He likes hearing himself talk. You know him? Noah shrugged. We took a first aid workshop together last year. That should have been the end of it. Instead, Mason called Noah over 10 minutes later because his team could not secure their rain cover. Noah looked at me. You okay for a minute? I can survive 4 poles alone. That remains unproven. He touched my shoulder as he passed. Light. Familiar. Then he joined Mason across the clearing. I told myself I did not care. Noah was helping. That was what he did. Still, I watched Mason lean close while they worked. Watched them laugh about something I could not hear. Watched Noah look completely relaxed beside him. The knot in my chest got tighter. Stupid. I was being stupid. Noah was not mine. We were not anything. We were barely even friends outside the group. I drove one stake too hard and bent it sideways. Easy. Noah's voice came from behind me. I turned. He was already back. Thought you were busy saving Mason. The words came out sharper than I meant. His eyebrows lifted. Saving him. Helping. Whatever. A quiet second passed between us. Noah crouched beside the bent stake and studied me instead of it. Are you mad? No, you look mad. I am tired. You were tired before. I reached for the stake, but his hand closed around my wrist. Not hard. just enough to stop me. My pulse jumped under his fingers. His eyes dropped to where he was holding me, then slowly came back up. Ethan. The way he said my name made everything around us feel farther away. What? He did not answer right away. His thumb shifted once against my wrist, almost absent-mindedly. Nothing. But he still did not let go. Then Rick shouted that we had 10 minutes left. Noah released me and looked toward the half-built tent. Come on. Our place is falling apart. Our place. I stared at him. He caught the look, and for once, neither of us turned it into a joke. The tent finally stood, even if one side leaned like it had given up on life. Noah stepped back, hands on his hips, and studied it. Looks solid. It looks drunk. Still standing. Barely. He grinned, and I hated how easy it was to forget I had been irritated with him 2 minutes earlier. Rick sent everyone into the trees to collect dry material for the fire. Noah moved ahead while I searched near a fallen log, trying very hard not to replay the way his hand had stayed around my wrist. I reached under a branch and felt something sharp drag across my palm. Damn. Noah turned immediately. What happened? Nothing. Blood was already gathering along the cut. His expression changed. Not dramatic. Just focused. He crossed the distance fast and took my hand before I could hide it. That is not nothing. It is a scratch. Sit down. Noah. He gave me a look that worked probably 90% of the time on scared patients. Unfortunately, it also worked on me. I sat on the log. He pulled a small first aid kit from his pack and crouched in front of me, one knee pressing into the dirt. His fingers wrapped gently around my wrist as he cleaned the cut. It stung. I flinched. Sorry. His voice softened. I am fine. You always say that. I looked at him. What is that supposed to mean? Noah kept his eyes on my hand. You joke when you are nervous. You change the subject when something gets too close. And apparently you bleed quietly. My chest tightened. You have been studying me? That finally made him look up. For 1 second, neither of us moved. His thumb rested against the inside of my wrist, right over my pulse. Maybe I noticed things. The air between us shifted. I could hear people talking somewhere behind the trees, but they sounded far away. Noah finished wrapping the bandage, then let his fingers slide over my palm to check it. Slow. Careful. Too careful. There. He still had not let go. You do this for everyone? The question came out before I could stop it. Noah's eyes held mine. Do what? Act like a paper cut is a medical emergency. His mouth almost curved, but it did not. No, my heart kicked hard. Then why me? That was the line. I knew it the second I said it. Noah went completely still. His hand tightened around mine, just slightly. He leaned closer, not enough to make it obvious, but enough that I noticed the change in his breathing. Ethan, I waited. I should have pulled away. I did not. His gaze dropped to my mouth for half a second, then came back up. My stomach turned over. He was close enough now that one small movement would have changed everything. There you are. Mason's voice cut through the trees. Noah released my hand so fast it felt like waking up. Mason appeared carrying an armful of branches, eyes moving between us. Rick wants everyone back. We are coming, Noah replied, already standing. His tone had gone flat and professional. Mason looked at my bandaged hand. You okay? Fine. The word tasted wrong now. Noah picked up the first aid kit without looking at me. We walked back toward camp in silence. He stayed close, but not close enough to touch. Just before we reached the others, he glanced at my hand. You do not always have to pretend you are fine around me. I stopped walking. Noah did not. And that was the worst part. I still had no idea what he had almost said. By the time the fire caught, Noah and I had barely spoken. He stayed close enough to help, but every time our hands almost touched, one of us pulled back. That should have made things easier. It did not. After dinner, Rick told everyone to gather around the fire for a team exercise. Mason immediately groaned. If this is trust falls, I am leaving. Claire laughed. You would drop someone on purpose. Only if they deserved it. Rick ignored them and passed around a metal cup filled with folded slips of paper. Simple questions. Keep it honest. That was exactly what I did not want. The first few were harmless. Worst job. Most embarrassing injury. One thing you would never eat again. Then Mason drew a slip and grinned before he even read it out loud. Have you ever had feelings for someone in your friend group? The circle got louder immediately. People pointed at each other. Claire accused Mason of writing the question himself. I stared into the fire and hoped nobody noticed how still I had gone. Ethan looks guilty, Mason announced. Every face turned toward me. My stomach dropped. I always look guilty. That is not a denial. Claire leaned forward, smiling. Come on, give us something. I laughed, but it sounded thin. There is nothing to give. Across the fire, Noah was not smiling. He was watching me with that same focused look he had used while wrapping my hand. Too steady, too quiet. Mason noticed. Of course he did. His eyes moved between us, then his grin changed. Interesting. Leave him alone, Noah cut in. The words were calm, but there was something underneath them. Mason lifted both hands. I am just asking a question. He answered. The circle went briefly quiet. Heat climbed into my face. I did not know whether I wanted to thank Noah or disappear. Rick cleared his throat and moved the game along. A few turns later, Noah drew a question. He unfolded the paper, read it, and stopped. Claire nudged him with her boot. Well, Noah looked down at the slip again. Have you ever liked someone you were pretty sure did not like you back? My chest tightened so suddenly it hurt. Mason gave a low whistle. That got serious. Noah stared into the fire. For once, he did not have a joke ready. Yeah, he finally answered. Just one word. The group waited. That is it. Claire pressed. That is it. Mason leaned back on his hands. Was she at least worth it? Noah's jaw tightened. He glanced at me. Not long. Barely a second. But I saw it. Then his eyes dropped again. Yeah, he was. The word landed hard. My pulse jumped. Claire blinked. Mason's expression shifted, surprised but not judgmental. Nobody laughed. Noah seemed to realize what he had said a second too late. He rubbed the back of his neck and looked toward the trees. I mean, the person was worth it. Rick smoothly passed the cup to someone else, but the mood had already changed. Noah did not look at me again. I spent the rest of the game trying to breathe normally. Maybe I had heard wrong. Maybe he had corrected himself because he was tired. Maybe it meant nothing. That was what I kept telling myself. Later, while everyone cleaned up, Claire stepped beside me and handed me 2 empty plates. You know he was looking at you, right? I nearly dropped them. Who? She gave me a look. Do not do that. Before I could answer, Noah appeared behind us. Ethan, can we talk? Claire glanced between us, then walked away without a word. Noah waited until we were a few yards from the fire. His hands stayed in his jacket pockets. You have been avoiding me. You have been avoiding me. A quiet breath left him. That is not an answer. Neither was yours. His eyes narrowed slightly. About what? The question. He looked back toward the group. Mason was watching us now, pretending not to. Noah lowered his voice. Not here. Then where? His gaze met mine, tense and unreadable. Somewhere nobody is listening. Noah led me away from the fire, past the tents and toward the edge of the tree line. Not far enough to be dramatic. Just far enough that the others could not hear us without trying. He stopped near a fallen log and looked back at camp. Mason was still watching. Claire was pretending not to. This is exactly why I did not want to talk there, Noah muttered. I crossed my arms. Then talk now. He exhaled through his nose and stared at the ground between us. For someone who handled emergencies for a living, he looked completely lost. The answer by the fire was not an accident. My heartbeat stumbled. Which part? Noah finally looked at me. You know which part. I did. I just needed to hear him say it. The silence stretched until I could not take it anymore. You said he. Yeah. And then you changed it. Because 20 people were staring at me. So there is a guy? His jaw tightened. There is. The cold air felt suddenly thinner. I rubbed my thumb over the edge of the bandage on my palm. Do I know him? Noah gave a short, nervous laugh. I had never heard that sound from him before. Ethan. What? You cannot seriously be this bad at reading people. My stomach dropped. He stepped closer, but there was still a careful space between us. I remembered your energy bar because you complained about peanut butter once, 8 months ago. I knew your backpack was wrong because I had been watching you since we started walking. I nearly lost my mind when you slipped. His eyes moved to my bandaged hand. And when you cut yourself, I was not acting like an emergency medical technician. I could barely breathe. Then what were you acting like? Noah looked at me for so long that every sound from camp seemed to fade. Like someone who cares about you too much. The words hit harder than I expected. I looked away because holding his gaze felt impossible. You have a strange way of showing it. I know. You keep getting close, then acting like nothing happened. So do you. That stopped me. Noah took another step. His voice dropped. Every time I think you might feel something, you make a joke. Or you leave. Or you look at me like you want me to say something, then panic when I get close. Because I thought I was imagining it. You were not. My chest tightened. The tent. My hand. Earlier in the woods, I know. Did any of that mean something to you? He did not answer right away. Instead, he reached for my injured hand and turned it gently in his. His thumb moved over the clean edge of the bandage. It felt real to me. My pulse jumped beneath his fingers. Noah. And I do not want to go back to pretending it did not. The honesty in his face scared me more than rejection would have. I had spent so long convincing myself this was one-sided that I had no idea what to do now that it was not. Noah seemed to read that too. His grip loosened, but he did not let go. You do not have to answer tonight. That is not fair. What is not? You cannot say all of that and then act calm. A small smile appeared. Nervous. Real. I am not calm. He guided my hand to the center of his chest. His heartbeat was fast under my palm. Almost as fast as mine. Not even close. For a second, we just stood there, connected by one hand, and everything neither of us had been brave enough to say. Then someone near the fire shouted Noah's name. He closed his eyes briefly, forehead almost touching mine. We should go back. Neither of us moved. Probably, I whispered. His fingers tightened around mine. I did not want you to leave earlier. My chest ached at the softness in his voice. I did not want to. This time, when we walked back toward camp, Noah kept holding my hand until the firelight came into view. The next morning, Noah acted normal. Too normal. He rolled up his sleeping bag, checked the map, and asked if I wanted coffee like he had not held my hand in the dark. I watched him tear open a packet and stir it with a plastic spoon. You sleep okay? His eyes stayed on the cup. Not really. Cold. That was not the problem. His hand stopped for half a second. Then he kept stirring. Around us, people packed their gear and complained about sore backs. Mason was telling someone how he barely slept because his partner snored. Claire glanced over at Noah and me, clearly waiting for something. Noah noticed too. His shoulders tightened. We should keep things low-key, he murmured. My chest dropped. Low-key. Just until we figure out what this is. There it was. The regret. Quiet. Polite. Wrapped in reasonable words. I nodded before he could see how much it bothered me. Sure. He looked up. Ethan, that is not what I meant. It is fine. His expression changed at the word, but Rick called everyone over before Noah could answer. The morning challenge was navigation. Each pair had to reach 3 marked points before lunch. Mason walked over while Rick handed out maps. Brooks, want to switch? My partner has no sense of direction, and Miller looks like he wants to murder you. I forced a laugh. Go ahead. You two clearly have more experience. Noah turned toward me. What? It makes sense. No, it does not. Mason looked between us. I was joking. We are not switching. Noah's voice was sharper than I had heard it all weekend. A few people nearby went quiet. He lowered his tone, but his eyes never left mine. Ethan is my partner. Something inside me twisted. You just said we should keep things low-key. That does not mean I want you gone. Mason slowly backed away. Okay, I am going to leave before this turns into couples counseling. Claire covered a smile. Heat rushed into my face. I grabbed the map and walked toward the trail. Noah followed. Can you slow down? We are on a schedule. You are mad. I am navigating. He caught my arm before I could keep going. Not hard. Just enough to make me stop. Look at me. I did, and immediately regretted it. He looked tired. Nervous. Nothing like someone who had changed his mind. I am not ashamed of you, he said quietly. Then why are you pulling back? Noah glanced toward the group behind us. Because this is new. Because I do not know who knows what. Because I have spent years keeping parts of myself private, and last night I almost said everything in front of strangers. His grip loosened. That scared me. My anger faded, replaced by something heavier. I thought you regretted it. I regret that you thought that. The answer came fast. He stepped closer, voice low enough that only I could hear. I do not regret you. For a second, neither of us moved. Then Rick shouted that the clock had started. Noah let go and picked up the compass. We walked in silence for several minutes. At the first steep section, he reached for my elbow out of habit, then stopped himself. That hurt more than I expected. You can still touch me, I muttered. His eyes lifted to mine. You sure? I did not ask you to go back to normal. Something softened in his face. He took my hand instead of my elbow. Just for a second. Just long enough to help me over the rock. But when my feet were steady, he held on. Good, he said. Because I do not think I can. The rain started before we reached the second marker. Not heavy at first, just enough to darken the trail and make the rocks slick. Noah checked the map, then looked up at the sky. We should turn back. The marker is less than half a mile. And Rick said not to push it if the weather changed. I folded my arms. You do not have to manage me every second. His expression tightened. That is not what I am doing. It feels like it. The words came out sharper than I meant. Noah stared at me. Rain collected along his hairline and ran down the side of his face. Then tell me what this is actually about. I looked away. That was the problem. I knew exactly what it was about. I just did not want to say it out loud. Ethan, you want private. You want low-key. You want to touch me when nobody is looking, then act normal the second someone might notice. His jaw flexed. That is not fair. Maybe not. I rubbed my wet palm against my jacket. But I do not know what you want from me. The trail went quiet except for rain tapping through the leaves. Noah took one step closer. I want you to stop deciding what I feel before I get a chance to tell you. My chest tightened. Then tell me. He looked at me for a long second. No joke. No easy smile. I like you. Simple. Direct. Somehow worse than anything complicated could have been. I swallowed. Since when? Long enough to notice when you avoid sitting next to me. His eyes dropped to my bandaged hand. Long enough to remember everything you pretend does not matter. I did not know what to do with that. My heart was pounding too hard. Then why did you act like last night was something we needed to hide? Because I was scared. His voice broke slightly on the word, and that stopped me. Noah looked toward the trail behind us, then back at me. Not of you. Not of this. I was scared I would get it wrong. Scared you would wake up and decide it was a mistake. I thought you were the one doing that. I know. He stepped closer again. There was barely any space left between us now. I handled it badly. A little. That almost made him smile. Almost. His hand lifted, hesitated, then wrapped gently around mine. I do not want to pretend nothing happened. His thumb moved once across my knuckles. I do not want to go back to being the guy who only gets to watch you leave with everyone else. My breath caught. You watch me leave? Every time. The honesty in his face made it impossible to look away. Somewhere behind us, thunder rolled. Neither of us moved. I signed up because I saw your name on the list, I admitted. Noah blinked. What? I was not planning to come. Heat climbed into my face even though I was freezing. Then I saw you were going. His grip tightened. Ethan. So if you are scared you read this wrong, you did not. For a second, he just stared at me. Then his free hand came up and rested against my arm, steadying both of us. His forehead nearly touched mine. Can I kiss you? The question was so quiet I almost thought I imagined it. I looked at his mouth, then back at his eyes. Not here. Something flickered across his face. Disappointment. Maybe relief. I squeezed his hand before he could pull away. Not because I do not want to. His breath left slowly. Then why? A distant whistle cut through the trees. Rick. Calling everyone back. I glanced toward the sound, then at Noah. Because I do not want our first kiss to happen while we are lost in the rain and about to get yelled at. That finally made him laugh. Soft. Nervous. Real. He leaned closer anyway. Just enough that his forehead rested against mine for one brief second. Fine, he whispered. But we are not pretending anymore. No, I held his gaze. We are not. We made it back to camp soaked, muddy, and 10 minutes behind everyone else. Rick gave us the kind of look usually reserved for people who ignored very clear instructions. You two get lost? Noah glanced at me. We had a communication problem. We solved it, I added. Claire looked between us and smiled like she knew exactly what that meant. Mason tossed Noah a towel. You guys look like you just survived a breakup. Noah caught it with one hand. Something like that. He handed the towel to me first. It was a small thing. Probably nobody else noticed. I did. The rest of the afternoon moved quickly. We finished the last challenge, packed the tent, and hiked back toward the main lodge. Noah stayed beside me the entire way. Not behind me. Not a few steps ahead. Beside me. Every now and then, our hands brushed. The first few times, I told myself it was accidental. Then he hooked his little finger around mine. Just for a second. My heart kicked hard. I looked over. He kept his eyes on the trail, but the corner of his mouth lifted. Very low-key, I murmured. I am trying. You are doing a terrible job. Good. At the parking lot, everyone started saying goodbye and trading phone numbers. Claire hugged me, then leaned close enough to whisper, about time. I stared at her. You knew? Everyone knew. That is horrifying. She laughed and walked away before I could ask what exactly everyone had known. Noah was waiting near my car, backpack at his feet. For the first time all weekend, there was no assignment left. No partner list. No storm. No reason for him to stay. That scared me more than I expected. So I said, "We survived. Barely. Speak for yourself." He smiled, then looked down at his hands. The silence stretched. I could feel both of us standing at the edge of the same decision. "I do not want this to become one of those things we never talk about again," I finally admitted. Noah's eyes lifted. "Neither do I." "Good. Good." Another pause. Then he stepped closer. Not rushed. Not nervous enough to hide behind a joke. "Dinner Tuesday? Is that a date?" "I would like it to be." My chest tightened, but this time I let myself feel it. "Then yes." His hand found mine between us. He did not glance around first. He did not let go when Mason walked past carrying his gear. Mason noticed, smiled once, and kept moving. Noah looked at me like he was waiting for me to panic. I squeezed his hand instead. "Still low-key?" I asked. No, his thumb moved across my knuckles. "Just real." 3 days later, we met at a small diner near my apartment. No backpacks. No instructors. No excuse to sit too close. Noah slid into the booth beside me instead of across from me anyway. Halfway through dinner, his knee pressed against mine and stayed there. It probably looked normal to everyone else. To me, it felt like a choice. When we left, he reached for my hand on the sidewalk. This time, there was no rain. No slippery trail. Nothing I needed help crossing. He held on anyway. I used to think staying safe meant keeping every important feeling hidden. Noah taught me something different. Sometimes the safest place is not where nobody can see you. Sometimes it is beside the person who sees everything and chooses to stay.